Welcome to Think About It with your host, Jayden Miller.
Good day, and welcome to Think About It with Jayden Miller. Please like, share, and subscribe on my YouTube channel, and like, comment, and follow on your favorite podcast platform. You can find me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and a whole bunch of other ones as well. Don't forget to check out my website at www.jaydenmiller.com. Well, I hope that you all are doing well. This is my first time back on the podcast waves in a little while. It's been a busy year, 2025 so far, and I know way back in January I promised to do these a lot more frequently, and yes, I unfortunately broke my promise. But it is now summertime here in Arizona. School is out, and it's time for fun. Anyway, there's a whole lot going on in the world. Today is Monday, June the 2nd, 2025, and my Chicago Cubs are first in the National League. This is the first time they've had a great start since 2016 when they won the World Series that year. So some of these players that they have are phenomenal. They've got this Pete Crow Armstrong guy that is just killing it, and Kyle Tucker and Matt Shaw and a whole host of other guys that are really bringing Chicago back to the top. So it is so much fun watching the Chicago Cubs. What a fun team, just like back in 2016. Yesterday, Sunday, June 1st, there was an attack in Colorado, Boulder attack. There was a Boulder attack, Boulder, Colorado, meaning an attack on Pearl Street, a street that I've walked down and been on so many times when I've gone to Boulder, Colorado. And as some of you all may know, I used to live in Colorado, still own a house in Colorado. But there was this attack on some people that were just hanging out in Pearl Street. The man that is suspected of throwing Molotov cocktails in an act of terrorism during a pro-Israel demonstration in Boulder, Colorado, injuring 12 people, has been charged with a federal hate crime and state charges, including 16 counts of attempted first-degree murder, according to court documents. The suspect, 45-year-old Muhammad Solomon, told investigators he researched on YouTube how to make Molotov cocktails, purchased the ingredients to do so, and constructed them. According to federal documents, Solomon took a concealed carry class to learn how to fire a gun. I'm glad that he wasn't able to use a gun during this, but had to use Molotov cocktails after he was denied the purchase of a gun due to him not being a legal citizen, according to state documents. Solomon, who allegedly disguised himself as a gardener during the attack, allegedly told police he wanted to kill all Zionist people and wished they were all dead. Federal documents say Solomon stated he would do it again. He said this had nothing to do with the Jewish community and was specific in the Zionist group supporting the killings of people on his land, which happens to be Palestine. This Solomon person is a husband and father of 5, and he allegedly said he had been planning Sunday afternoon's attack for 1 year, but waited until his daughter graduated from high school last Thursday to carry it out. Wow. Waited until his daughter graduated from high school. I'm wondering what thoughts are going through her mind. He said no one knew about his plans and he expected to die during the attack. He appeared at his first state court hearing from the Boulder County Jail this afternoon, during which the judge kept his bond at $10 million. He acknowledged that he had received and understood a protection order barring him from contacting the victims. He is due back in court on Thursday for the filing of state charges. Imagine those people that were out on a Sunday afternoon, really just enjoying themselves, and this gentleman sets them on fire. Really ridiculous. And again, as I've mentioned, I've been to Boulder, Colorado more times than any of you all can count. I've been on Pearl Street where this happened many, many times. As a photographer, I've taken photos there and have eaten there on Pearl Street and just had enjoyable times on Pearl Street. So it's really shocking and such a really, really family-centered, nice place that this type of incident would occur. So, but anyway, that's the state of our world. Donald Trump is still Donald Trump. His tariffs are still rocking the world. I now hear that they've called him a taco. Whatever that means. Well, we all know what it means. But he doesn't like that. And so he's been very upset at people that have been calling him a taco in regards to his failing at keeping his word on on the taxes and the tariffs. So, but anyway, he got really, really mad last week when someone called him a taco. So, and it simply means Trump always chickens out. So he didn't really care for that and got really upset with the reporter that called him that the other day, mainly because he didn't know what it meant until after she had asked him a question about his taco trade. So, yeah, he got upset with her and said that you ask a nasty question like that. It's not a nasty question. It's a legitimate question. He just didn't like the question. It's not a nasty one. She asked a legitimate question. It's not her fault that he didn't know that people were calling him taco. Trump always chickens out is what it means, though. So, but anyway, Donald Trump is still Donald Trump. America is still in some ways divisive, unfortunately. And so we continue to go on. School is out. School is out. It was a really great year, a really great academic year. So many students have moved on to different grades. Some have graduated from high school, and a number of them have graduated from 8th grade and going to high school, and some have simply promoted from 7th grade to 8th grade. And so really, really happy to see these young people continue to move forward in their lives. What am I going to talk about today? So it is sometimes really difficult for me to come up with topics to discuss. I'm really busy, which is not a legitimate excuse, but I am pretty busy. I'm working on a PhD, and the classes get progressively more intense. And so a lot of my time is spent making sure that I'm getting and providing the right information. As a photographer, I am pretty busy on weekends. I have photo sessions, some weddings, and a lot of family and senior citizen photos, seniors in high school, senior photos that I do and have been doing consistently since January and February. So sometimes I just don't know what to talk about. I want to find something that's going to be enlightening and something that's going to be interesting. And I'm a really boring person, I think. So sometimes it's really difficult for me to come up with topics because I just don't know what to say. And sometimes I don't want to say the wrong things because you never know who's listening. But then also, I feel the need to say what's on my mind. And so today I decided that I wanted to talk about me, but a specific thing with me. And it really boils down to my healing process. At one time in my life, it would not have been easy for me to talk about being the victim of abuse. And as a man, it's really, really difficult for us to talk about when we have been victims. But as a teacher, As a former law enforcement officer, official, I think it's important that I specifically be able to share my experiences, because my hope is that people will learn from them and recognize certain qualities in people and avoid them. During the year, of course, I see lots and lots of relationships, mainly the seventh and eighth grade relationships. And I see so many signs in certain individuals, especially how they treat other individuals. I've seen many boys get upset, cry over how they've been treated by a girl. I've seen many girls cry and be upset about how they were treated by some boy. And as I listen to them, because quite often times many people will come and share with me, many of my students will come and share with me, their relationship issues. And I generally listen unless I'm asked for some advice, and then I'll share some with them. But quite often I see signs of abuse in the offender. And while you don't want to really call a 12 or 13 or 14-year-old an abuser or an offender, it does start somewhere. And quite often it starts when people are young. And because those qualities are not checked, or because another young person does not know how to check those qualities or don't know what those qualities are, sometimes, those behaviors, specifically narcissistic behaviors, emotional abuse, they grow in an individual that is the offender. And the victim, unaware of this, allows certain behaviors to happen. And so I try to share some of my experiences, because my hope is that I can help you avoid some of the things that I actually went through. So just a really quick recap, because those of you that have listened to my podcast before have heard me talk about the fact that I was in a relationship with a narcissistic abuser, a female, a woman. Yes, women can be abusers. Yes, women can be narcissists. Yes, women can be emotionally abusive to men. So let's get that straight from the very beginning. Now, my talk today is one, and while I share my experiences, that does not mean that it is only for men, because I don't want any girls, females, women, young ladies to be victims of narcissistic abuse either. So I share my story in the hopes that you will learn from it and that you will avoid those individuals that can change your life for the negative. So, yes. I met a person who I did not know was a narcissistic abuser until later on. I married this individual, and the signs were there. But as it is usually with a narcissist, specifically a covert narcissist, because the person that I married was a covert narcissist, you're unaware. The signs were there, but I ignored them. Okay, quite often, just like I see young ladies today that ignore some of the behaviors from the boys that they are dating or like or whatever, and then they end up getting hurt because you ignore certain things. Your mind is telling you, wait a minute, but yet your heart is telling you, but give them a chance, and it's not that way. Oh, yes, it is. It is that way. It is that way. So, I married somebody who, at the time I did not know, but how I found out later, who was not in a good family relationship. Her mother was not in a good place, and her father had left and had started a totally different family. And so she had a lot of childhood issues that grew into her adulthood, again, because they were never checked. No one checked them. They were afraid to check them, or she hid them so well that no one could check them. And it wasn't until I was able to get back in my right mind that I was able to finally say, oh no, you have got to go. So today I'm going to just share with you my journey to healing and some things that you can do to avoid getting yourself into a relationship that may not be very healthy for you. All right. So, first of all, the question needs to be asked, what is a covert narcissist? A covert narcissist is an individual who uses passive aggressiveness. For example, they might use sarcasm, disregard your feelings by keeping your needs low priority, or give you the silent treatment when they're upset. They play the victim. This is one of the ones that I had to deal with very often. A covert narcissist often frames themselves as misunderstood and rarely will take accountability for anything. This is the person that I dealt with. This was my ex-wife. She never, ever took accountability for anything. She always played the victim. It was always my fault. Gaslighting is another sign. They might casually question your memories, opinions, and interests, letting the doubt slowly creep in. Yes, gaslighting, making you think things are a certain way when they are absolutely not that way. Withholding affection and subtle criticism. They might disguise criticism as concern or advice to undermine your confidence. So these are a lot of the signs that I came to find out once I got involved in the relationship. And so, it was difficult. The insecurities were there. Anybody that is so insecure in themselves, that is a relationship you should not be involved in. And the thing about it was that there was no need to be insecure. She was an attractive person. And what I mean by that is physically, she was very attractive. There was no need for her to be insecure, but she was. She was the type of individual that was so insecure that she, in a covert manner, went out of her way to dissolve many of my relationships, many of my friendships, because she insisted that she be the sole person that I focused on. So friendships that I had for 40 years, she really manipulated and tried to get rid of them. With family members, my own children, she tried to find a way to divide us. But when it came to her own family, it was different, except for, some relationships. She didn't try to keep me from them. She kept herself from them. But that was just part of her whole insecure self. And as a result of her inadequacies and insecurities and other, trauma that she had dealt with as a child and maybe as a young adult and all of that, she now took those out on me. And being a man and being kind-hearted, I often overlooked certain things. There were many times, before we got married that I knew that this was not the relationship, that there were certain signs. I recall one time I was at work and she called me and was so upset because I didn't answer my phone call at a certain time. And that was another thing. If I didn't respond quick enough for her, she'd be upset. It's that those kinds of relationships, those kinds of individuals you need to avoid. Okay. Someone that is so self-absorbed, so dependent, and to the point where you can't make a move. That's somebody you ought not be involved with. So I had to heal from this covert narcissistic relationship. At a certain point, I was just done. And the type of person that I am, I give so many chances, and I didn't want the relationship to end. I wanted it to work, but I got tired of being blamed for everything or every little. It was like walking on eggshells. Every little move I made, it was always questioned. If I spent $1 on me, she'd be upset. But if I spent dollars on her or her children, it was okay. Okay, it's that kind of abuse, making you feel less than. So I had to prioritize my self-care. And the first thing was she had to get the hell out of my house. Okay, it's my house. And I needed to divorce her. Okay, it was time to go. It was time for me to take back control of myself. And the only way that I was going to be able to do that was that relationship had to end. There were many, many signs at the very tail end of the relationship, contacting friends of mine, because they had an opinion about our relationship and getting on their case about it, and then making me look bad in front of her family and her friends. And to top it all off, she claimed to be a religious person, so into the church, but yet her actions prior to the divorce and then her actions afterwards, one of which is trying to continue to divide me and one of my daughters, by being present and sharing things about me totally untrue, or at least from her perspective, to try to make me look bad in front of my own daughter. That's horrible. And the thing about it is that she did not have a relationship with her own father until I helped get them back together again. But this is the type of person she is. And so, again, I needed to practice some self-care and some self-compassion because I was going in the wrong direction. And I was not caring so much about myself anymore. And so that's one of the things about healing. You have got to prioritize self-care and self-compassion. You have to learn to acknowledge and accept your feelings without judgment. I had to learn to engage in activities that bring me joy and promote a sense of well-being. When I was an assistant principal at a middle school, I used to love to go and watch volleyball. And my students, prior to me becoming assistant principal, would love for me to come to their games. I could not go to a game because she would be so insecure. Or I had to go with her. She had to be invited. I couldn't sit in the stands and just enjoy a game, watching my students play, because she had to be there. And if I didn't invite her, she'd be upset. And so I would feel guilty being there. I'm telling you, it was horrible. The kind of psychological games a covert narcissist can play on you in your mind. So I had to get back. So I love softball. So last year I coached voluntarily coached softball. But then I also did soccer. I was head coach. So I started getting back into activities that I had denied myself because of her. The other thing I had to do is I had to learn how to forgive myself. I had to understand that I was the victim of manipulation, and I had to understand that I was a victim of manipulation, and abuse is essential for healing. I had to understand that it was not my fault, that I should not blame myself for the situation. I was a victim of manipulation and abuse. It's just that simple. Back during the divorce, which went very, very quickly, I filed, and there was no need for a lawyer or anything like that. I handled it myself. I drove to the courthouse, I filed the papers, I paid for it because I had to be done with this individual. Okay. And so I established no contact. So anything that she gave me in our relationship, I put it in a box and sent it back to her. Wedding ring, sent it back to her. Notes that she had written to me, sent it back to her, because I did not want anything from this emotional abuser. I did not want to be able to look back on something or read something because then I know it was a lie. It would just make me upset. So I sent it all back to her. Didn't want it. I didn't want your hand in marriage. I didn't want your wedding ring. Goodbye. I had to establish firm boundaries. So, she cannot contact me. I blocked her on any and every social media, telephone that I could. I learned a whole lot about narcissistic abuse after divorcing her. I did not know a whole lot of what was going on and the trauma that she was creating in my life until later. And so I learned quite a bit about her, but I also learned quite a bit about covert narcissism. And then I learned a whole lot about me. So, yes, I had to rebuild my self-esteem. I had to focus on my strengths, accomplishments, and positive qualities. I had to challenge the negative narratives that I internalized because of what she had said and what she had told other people. I had to reconnect with my values and passions. In other words, I had to reconnect with my interest in the pursuit of my goals to help me to regain a sense of purpose and direction, because I was going in a direction that was not a good direction. I had to rebuild a supportive network. So those friends that I had abandoned because she said, well, I should be the only female in your life. And I had to reconnect with them. I had to surround myself with them again. I had to go back to them and apologize to them for forsaking them for this individual, when many of them warned me about her. And of course, sometimes when you're in love, you just ignore certain things. So I had to understand that healing is a process, that I had to be patient with myself and understand that healing takes time, and that there may be periods of progress and setbacks. But I never, ever let myself contact her. When I'm done, I am done. But sometimes the memories would come back, because there were some good times. They weren't all bad. There was a lot of bad, but they weren't all bad. And sometimes you have a tendency to go back to the times that were good. And there are times where I go places and those places bring back memories. But I've learned to understand that those are exactly what they were, memories. They don't represent the present, and they certainly do not represent my future. So going back, I did not really know what a narcissist was until I later really, really got into some really deep diving into the topic. A narcissist is, in the simplest sense, a person who has an excessive interest in or admiration of themselves. This definition alone does not even scratch the surface of what someone with narcissistic personality disorder is and the impact they have on people close to them. Most people don't even realize they are getting into a relationship with a narcissist because they do not reveal their true selves initially, which is how she was. They are skillfully manipulative, which allows them to appear charming and loving. I was so charmed. Okay. I should have known, really early on, that she was manipulative, especially when it came to money, wanting to get married very quickly, wanting to move in with me very, very quickly. Those were some telltale signs. And, there have been many times that I broke up with her prior to getting married and, just allowed her back in, which I now know I should not have done. Narcissistic relationships are emotionally abusive. They include put downs, accusations, criticism, gaslighting, and threats. A narcissist's end goal is always to have an abundant supply of constant attention and admiration, and will do many things to maintain and build on it. So with her is, like I mentioned, I couldn't go to games at the school that I worked at. I couldn't have my female friends. if I had to talk to an employee as their supervisor and it was a female, she would ask who that person is and is that person married and does that person like you? Just really childish, silly stuff, that she would ask me. And so I had to avoid coming home from work, engaging in conversations with her about work, because if it dealt with the female, then I was going to be in trouble. So it's that type of narcissistic abuse and behaviors that she exhibited. So yeah, it was really, really difficult. It was really, really difficult dealing with this person. So I had to learn something. A younger version of me believed I could change people in a positive way. I thought I could influence them into being better, stronger, happier versions of themselves. I saw the best in her, and I fell in love with that potential. I hoped my habits would rub off on her, but you cannot change a narcissist. You can only be changed by their abuse. I learned this lesson hard, and when I did, it never left. So I no longer try to change anyone, friends, family members. I see people for who they are and how they are, and I don't expect them to behave differently than I am shown. If they are not respectful or if they don't respect my boundaries, I no longer ask myself, why are they treating me this way? Instead, I ask myself, why am I allowing this treatment? This was a huge shift that changed the way I interacted with people, and it's helped me so much till this very day. So I had to learn how to set boundaries and stick to them. Setting boundaries with the narcissist is incredibly hard. Narcissists tend not to respect boundaries or see them as a personal attack, which is what she did. I had to learn to set boundaries that enforced how I wanted to be treated and then hold the boundary when the line was crossed. This allowed me to create enough space from the relationship so I could start listening to myself and my needs again. With no strong boundaries in place, I was consistently getting trampled by the narcissist. You gotta have boundaries and you've got to stick to them. I had to learn who I am again. And finally, I have gotten to that point where I do know who I am again, because it was not about me, it was about her. All the time. I had to learn how to listen to myself again. I had to scrape myself up off the floor and heal. I had to learn how to listen to myself again. I had to learn how to ask myself what I think before I speak. I also learned how to stand my ground and not be shaken when someone is trying to intimidate me, which is how she was. I also had to learn how to ungaslight myself. As a narcissist, she tried to write my history. I had to learn how to rewrite my history and to dedicate myself to my own reality and the truth, which certainly was not in her when it came to me. So there were so many transitions to getting to become a healthy person again. And I am so glad that I've gotten to the point now where I am healed and that I acknowledged the abuse and that I ended the relationship. As difficult as it was, I ended it. And I am so happy that because at one point, even when we were at the point of her moving out, I mean, there was this one thought that came to my mind and said, try again. And I am so glad that I did not. And that I continued to watch her put all of her shit in a truck and drive the hell off. That was the most rewarding day. It was a day of freedom. It was a day that the stars and the sky just opened up and the sun came back out, because it was a cloudy time in my life during that time. And so I just learned to really get to know who I am, and I really learned how to love myself again, because she had taken so much away from me. Relationships, my peace, financially not so much, but she tried. She really did try, but luckily I had most of what I already earned and owned prior to meeting her. But she would have, because she's that kind of person. She would have tried to get more money out of me. She actually was able to get a little bit out of me, because she threatened to go to court and do something, and I could have fought her, but I just was like, it's easier to just let you have this because I'll get it back, and there's karma, and karma will come back around, and I just hope that it has, if it hasn't already, will bite her a nice chunk out of her, and so that she'll forever remember how ugly she treated me. But yeah, so it is so good just to embrace self-compassion and to focus on my future. And now it is so much brighter. I just look at today as opposed to then. I mean, so many great things. I've met so many wonderful people since leaving her. So many opportunities have come my way since leaving her. I have been more of a happier person and have allowed people to engage with me so much better than I did prior to her. I'm able to go places and not have to feel like I'm doing something wrong, and I'm able to date again. And it is so, so great to be healed, to finally get over somebody. So I hope this has helped. Again, my experience was really difficult, and I have not really shared all of the difficult parts of it. That's because I have chosen to move beyond them. So I can share little pieces of how I was treated and that kind of thing. I think most people get the message, and you can certainly look up covert narcissist or narcissism or female narcissist or just narcissist in general, because again, as I mentioned, this is not only about female narcissists, men are narcissists as well. And I don't want any females to be emotionally abused by this type of behavior as well. We need to have relationships where people are respectful, people understand boundaries, people want to help others to be better, to be great, and not focus all on themselves. You don't want someone that's totally insecure. That is not good. Someone that needs to go through your phone or go through your computer or go through your messages. That is not a good and trusting relationship. Now, I know sometimes people think that, oh, well, my phone is open and, she can go through my phone anytime she wants to. Nah, that's not healthy, because if someone trusts you, okay, they should not have to go through your belongings in a way in which they're looking for something bad. Understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's wrong for your spouse or your girlfriend to have access to your phone. That's not what I'm saying. That's up to you. That's it. That's your relationship. What I am saying is that if they use the trust that you've given them to start looking for things, okay, that are negative, okay, that's a problem. That's a problem. And allowing someone to have access to your private things should be something that is given, not something that they demand from you, not something that they require to be in a relationship. If someone comes to me and says, well, in order for me to trust you, I need to have access to your phone and your computer and all that, then sorry, we don't need to be in a relationship. Because first of all, that should not be a priority to you. All right. If I'm in a relationship with you, then we need to develop that trust. I don't have a problem with you looking through my phone, but when you come at me that way, well, I need to see this, or I'll only feel good if I have access to it, then no, you've got a problem. You have a problem, because I'm not coming to you. I don't need to see your computer and what's on your computer. I don't need to see what's on your phone. I don't need to answer your phone. I don't need to do all of that. I don't need that. If I'm in a solid relationship with someone, the key word being solid, there is no need for me to have to. Okay, I'm not going to ask you for it. But if you give me, because you feel comfortable, you say, hey, this is the password or code to my phone. This is the password to my computer because I just want you to have it. That's fine. That's good. I like that. That is a good, healthy relationship. But when someone demands that of you, that is not healthy. That's insecurity. So anyway, it is just really good to be in a healed place. And it's really good to be in a place where I can share with others what to look out for. So again, be very, very careful. If someone is not treating you right, you know when someone is not treating you right. You know when someone is gaslighting you. You know when someone is putting you down. You know that. It does not take rocket scientists. It doesn't take multiple degrees to understand when you are being mistreated. When you are being mistreated, you have options. The first option is to let the person know that you are being mistreated and how you feel. Let them know. You cannot hide from it. You cannot put it off. You have got to let them know right up front. And if they respect and understand what you're saying and listen carefully and change, then give them another chance. But after giving somebody a chance and they still are abusive, and I'm talking about emotional abuse, they're still abusive. They still could care less about your feelings. They gaslight you. They do all of these things that I've shared with you today. You need to end that relationship. Nobody is that good looking. Nobody is that wealthy. Nobody is that whatever to be in a relationship where they make you feel bad. You have got to get out of that relationship. You just have to. You cannot remain in a relationship with someone that treats you bad. You just have to. So playing the victim, the passive aggressiveness, the sarcasm, the disregarding your feelings, the withholding affection, the subtle criticism, that's not healthy in a relationship. It is not. And take the advice from me. You have got to go. You have got to run. You have got to leave. You have got to leave. That means, if you're boyfriend and girlfriend, you need to cut it off. If you are husband and wife, then you need to find a way to end that relationship. There are so many women and men that have been in relationships with narcissists for years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. That's a lot of wasted time. A lot of wasted time. I was married to this person for 2.5 years. That's it. Okay. So after seeing the emotional abuse and finally recognizing the narcissism, I realized that I have a long life to live. And I am not going to be in a relationship with someone that hits me because, yep, she used to do that too. That plays the victim, that gaslights, that I can't go to the store without her or without her making me feel like I'm the worst thing. No. And you can't either. So find relationships with individuals that are respectful. Find relationships with people that know and understand and respect boundaries. Find relationships with people that don't withhold their affection, that don't withdraw from you because you don't give them what they think they deserve. Don't get into a relationship with someone that's constantly is criticizing you or is constantly sarcastic towards you or that disregards your feelings. That is not the type of relationship you want to be in. You want to be in a relationship with someone that is kind, someone that is loving, someone that has your interest at heart, someone that enjoys when you all do things together, but also understands that sometimes you need time apart. Someone that will help you develop yourself to become the best person that you want to be. Someone that helps you to reach your goals. That's the type of person that you want to be with. Not someone that is going to use all of those positive things, all of those positive attributes about you against you. All right. Well, I think that is enough for today. This is Jayden Miller, and please don't forget to check out my website at www.jaydenmiller.com. Please like, share, and subscribe on my YouTube channel, and like, comment, and follow on your favorite podcast platform. I'm on Spotify. I'm on Apple Podcasts. I'm on Spreaker, and I am on iHeartRadio. All right. Again, Jayden Miller. I look forward to talking to you on my next podcast episode. Have a great day, everybody. Stay sane, stay safe, have fun.
Thank you for listening to Think About It with Jayden Miller. Don't forget to like and subscribe to his YouTube channel and like and follow on your favorite podcast platform.